here are, in my view, 5 things no male lawyer should ever have. Thing number 1 is a man bun. To me, a man bun is completely contradictory. You're either a man or you have a bun. You can't have both. The second thing is a pair of jorts. Those should be outlawed in every country in the world. I've never seen a man wear a pair of, even John Cena, who is famous for wearing jorts, looks like a moron wearing jorts. Number 3, a pair of Crocs, those horrible shoes that people are too lazy to tie their own shoes up. If you're too lazy to tie your shoe, you're probably not going to make a great lawyer. Thing number 4 is croquis, those things that you put on your glasses when you're at the lake so they don't fall into the lake. Well, if you don't trust your guy to keep his sunglasses on, do you really trust him to be your lawyer? And last, but certainly not least, is anything with Texas A&M on it. If you see a lawyer wearing anything with Texas A&M paraphernalia, you should really think twice about your counsel.
I think you're gonna get some Aggies riled up there. You got a thing against Aggies then?
No, I love Aggies. I mean, you know what the difference between a dead Aggie in the middle of the road and a dead Longhorn in the middle of the road is, right?
What's the difference?
Skid marks in front of the Longhorn. You know what an Aggie menage a trois is?
What's an Aggie menage a trois?
To watch. Takes a second to get there.
That's hilarious.
And the thing that both a UT graduate and A&M graduate have in common?
What is that?
They both applied to the University of Texas.
Hook 'em.
I got no problem with Aggies. I think A&M's a great school. If you went to UT, you rag on A&M. If you went to A&M, you rag on UT. That's just the way it goes.
Dan, I know you have some kind of event coming up, right, with your former UT alumni. Is that right?
Yeah, there's my fraternity, the University of Texas, back when Dirt was young, we're the Sigma Chi's. We were nationally recognized, nationally known fraternity. I think we got 2.5 million alum over the years in different institutions, and I'm being recognized as a quote, a significant SIG this weekend, which is nice. There's a handful of guys chosen across the country each year to be recognized for success in their field. So I guess I'm outlying as opposed to outstanding in my field somewhere. So I go there and I get repinned at 68 years old. Speaking of lawyers, obviously this is a legal-centric show, and I get asked all the time, or told all the time, I want to be a lawyer. I enjoy arguing. I want to go to law school. And so I kind of looked at the metrics of just from 50,000 feet, sort of the dynamics of what being a lawyer means these days. So thing number 1 is there are 1.3 million lawyers in the United States. That's a lot of lawyers. New York has the most lawyers. North Dakota has the least. Thing number 2, the average salary of lawyers is $176,000. Now think about that. You can almost make that managing a Buc-ee's. Next time you walk into a Buc-ee's, some of their management people, $150,000. Now certainly there are lawyers that make a lot more than that, but that is the average salary of lawyers across the country. The average billing rate is $300 an hour. Thing number 3, I assumed that lawyers had a higher divorce rate than most other professions. I was wrong. It's about the same. I guess I projected my experience onto others, but it's about the same. The lifespan of lawyers is about the same as non-lawyers, which again surprised me. I thought that lawyers would have a shorter lifespan because of the stress and because of the hours and so forth. But here's the kicker. Number 4 is the rates of depression among lawyers is 2 to 3 times what it is among non-lawyers, and the rates of alcoholism are the same, 2 or 3 times higher than non-lawyers. While we're on the subject of alcoholism, about every other comment that takes a shot at me says, go back to the bar, drink some more, order another scotch. And we'll get into this in another episode probably, but I haven't drank for years. And frankly, I quit drinking a few years ago. I wish I would have quit drinking long before that for physical reasons, not really anything practice related. But it is true that alcohol abuse and alcoholism and whatever is very prominent in the legal community. It is especially prominent in the trial lawyer community. So if you want to be a lawyer or if you want to be a trial lawyer, just be advised, those snakes of depression are out there, and those snakes of alcohol dependency or substance abuse are out there. So with that happy news, let's go on to the next subject.
Well, I want to kind of better understand that. So obviously the depression piece is tied into the alcoholism piece, right? Those things are tied together. But why is it that the rates, just based off of your perspective, being a experienced trial lawyer and being in the field for as long as you have, why is it that the rates of depression are high? Like, what about the work itself causes that?
Well, it's a depressing job, right? You are solving other people's problems all day long, whether they are civil problems or criminal problems. Nobody says, I want to have a great day today. Let me call my criminal defense lawyer, or let me call my civil lawyer. Let's have some fun. We're solving problems, sometimes easy problems, sometimes very, very complex problems, sometimes impossible problems, sometimes problems that you can't solve. And that gets on top of you day after day after day after day. I'm still in the game. I'll continue to be in the game. I've learned how to, compartmentalize and deal with it. But it's a stressful job, for sure.
Do you have advice to young up-and-coming attorneys or people who are about to enter the field to battle that nature of the job?
I would say look around and really sort of keep your eyes open as to what kind of law you want to practice. Everybody wants to, just like everybody that goes to med school thinks they want to be a trauma room surgeon. The reality of that is much different than they expect. And I think a lot of people that go to law school envision themselves in the courtroom. The reality of that is very different than they expect. So keep your eyes open. I think legal training and legal education is helps you across the board, regardless of what business you want to be in. But if you're thinking about going to law school, or if you're thinking about what kind of area you want into, just keep your eyes open. There are other things in being. If you really have a passion for trial work, there's no better place to do it. Let me put it this way, Aaron. The best times I've ever had with my clothes on are when I win a case, for sure. There's nothing that can replicate a great victory. At the same time, there's nothing worse, saving except the loss of a loved one or cancer or something like that. There's nothing worse than losing a case that you thought you should have won. You are living on the wet end of the spear. Some people thrive on that. Some people get overcome by that. I thrive on that.
If you weren't a lawyer, have you ever thought about what you would be doing as a profession?
No.
Okay.
I mean, once I became a lawyer, I never looked back. I would be lost without this profession, right? Now, could I teach? Sure. But could I sell? Probably, because being a trial lawyer is selling at the end of the day. But I've never looked back and regretted becoming the lawyer that I am. I've regretted certainly how I've handled situations. I wish I would have done something differently from time to time, like everybody else. But I don't regret the path that I chose. I didn't realize how hard it would be, but I don't regret it.
Would you ever teach at a law school as a professor?
I would, if I had the time. But right now, it's kind of my most profitable time is this point in my career. So would I consider doing it in a few years? Sure. Should I have done it earlier? Probably. But yeah, I enjoy teaching. I lecture all the time. I speak at seminars all the time. To me, that's a form of teaching. I'm not sure that this much of a dinosaur would do well in a really woke educational environment. I'm sure I would say something that offended somebody. So that might be a challenge.
Got it.
You had obviously the funny viral clip of the 5 things that you avoid in making a hiring decision. But on a more serious note, what are, a little more simplified, like what are 3 things you do look at in backgrounds of potential candidates before you hire them onto the firm? Or what are 3 things that stick out in a lawyer's resume?
As corny as it sounds, whether or not I like the person and whether or not I think I can be locked in a room with them for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day. They have to have the educational experience in the background and hopefully some trial experience and some research assistance, but whether I get on with the person or not. And I say that not because I want to live in an echo chamber. I want to be challenged by my associates. I want to be challenged by my staff. I'm not the guy that says it's my way or the highway. I make mistakes all the time. Everybody does. And when I make a mistake or when I'm going down the wrong path or when I have blindfolders on, I want somebody to say, dude, look to the left, look to the right, look up, look down. But the simple answer to the simple question is, what are the things you look for most? Beyond the qualifications and the experience, whatever that may be, Aaron, whether or not I like them. Because if I don't want to be in their space or I don't want them in my space, I don't want to work with them. It's a very cloistered, constant, close environment. And they don't have to look like me or act like me or whatever, but I want to like them, right? Because I'm going to be spending a lot of time with them.
Well, and on the other side of that, when someone is in a bind or is in a precarious situation and they're looking for representation, what are the 3 things, the 5 things that they should consider in pre-qualifying the lawyer that they choose to help represent them?
And we've touched on this in the past, but I think a consumer of a legal product should always try to find out what a lawyer's reputation is, what their history, what their skill set is in that particular area. They should meet with them personally, and they should find out whether or not they trust that person. And they should ask other professionals, other lawyers. They should ask around, because there's nothing more expensive than hiring the wrong lawyer. It can cost you an awful lot of money that it shouldn't. And you see it every day, people driving up and down 35 or 45 or whatever with these billboards. We're just inundated with them everywhere, and it truly blows me away that people hire their lawyer based upon a billboard. I mean, I would never consider hiring my cardiologist by looking at a billboard. It blows me away, and yet they do it every single day. There's a reason those folks are advertising, because it works. And I'm sure a lot of those folks are good lawyers that advertise like that. I'm also equally sure, hell, I'm positive, that many of them are never going to be the ones that they hired that are going to be trying their cases. They're going to be those lawyers, a lot of those billboard lawyers. If it's a good case, all they're going to do is refer it to another lawyer, and that lawyer will be actually handling the case. They're supposed to notify the client, and I'm sure that they do. But oftentimes the Texas torch, tough hammer, jammer, whatever, may not be the guy at all that's going to be handling your case.
Any Dan Cogdell billboards up?
Not a single one. This is as close as I'm coming to a billboard.
There you go.
And fun fact, and people don't know this, but a lot of those billboards, not all of them, but a lot of them are being financed by hedge fund companies who have come in and lending money to those lawyers at really outrageous rates at 12, 14, 15%. So they can put up those billboards, banking on the come that they'll sign up a good case or two and pay the hedge fund the 14 or 15% interest rate back, which is just crazy, but it's happening every day.
So they make those calculations based off data that reflects that they are going to get a return. I'm assuming these hedge funds are smart.
They are.
Do you feel like the landscape and the overall playing field is changing in the past, few years between people? Like, how often are people leveraging buses or billboards to make decisions? Is that still prevalent today? Because we see them everywhere, but I feel like, do they have an impact? What is
absolutely?
Yeah.
And the State Bar of Texas and in most states, it was illegal to advertise until the mid to late 80s. You could not do it. And I remember when the State Bar of Texas first authorized advertisements, my mentor, Mr. Haynes, who I continue to fawn over to this day because I love the man. I think he was wonderful and right about 90% of the time. Mr. Haynes said in 1986 or 1987 that this will change the professionalism of the practice of law forever. It's a horrible thing. People are going to make their decisions based upon an advertisement. That's not what should happen, and that's exactly what's come to pass. I spoke with a very good lawyer, frankly, who has a very prominent firm in Houston, PI firm, really recognized firm. These guys are good lawyers for sure. But he shared with me that they spend $1 million a month just on Facebook ads. Just on Facebook ads. So you can imagine what their advertising budget is. John Morgan, you see the Morgan & Morgan advertisements all over. I think they're out of West Virginia or someplace. I think John is one of the richest lawyers in the country. I think he's estimated to be worth $1.6 billion. So it's working. And again, they set up a process and a machine and all that. But he's worth $1.6 billion.
It says here that I guess they have offices in Dallas. Is that why?
They have offices all over.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's all from personal injury.
Yeah.
So Morgan & Morgan is everywhere. There's so many podcasts actually that are sponsored by Morgan & Morgan. Would you ever consider doing partnerships with like companies like that? Is that something that you care for?
I'd have to see what that involved. I don't think they would want to denigrate their brand by having some dirty fingernail criminal defense lawyer involved. But I would certainly want to venture into personal injury cases. I believe that a trial lawyer is a trial lawyer is a trial lawyer. I think I could try anything. Maybe that's my ego. Maybe that's the reality of it. But I think once you learn effective communication with a jury, the rest of the pieces can fall into place if you have the right support staff.
That makes sense.
So a personal injury case, like what are the common ones? Like, is it you fall in Walmart and then you get a lawyer and that's where the money is, or is it the like car accidents or like?
It's all the above. It's falling in Walmart. It's car wreck cases. It's oil well explosions. It's accidents on boat at sea. It's dog bites. It's medical malpractice. It's the whole gamut.
Okay.
And some lawyers are better at those different niches than others. I've always believed that Texas has just outstanding trial lawyers, plaintiffs' lawyers. Mark Lanier is one of the most successful plaintiffs' lawyers in history, frankly. I think Mark has literally dozens, if not more, of verdicts with a B. He's an amazing lawyer. I think he's the greatest lawyer of my generation in terms of his courtroom success. He primarily focuses on class actions like a hip replacement, all those hip replacements that went bad, or Vioxx, or Roundup, or any of these asbestosis stuff. He's a genius. We don't hang out because he loves Jesus, and Jesus doesn't really love me. He's never drank. I used to. He goes to church a lot. I couldn't find a church with a CNI dog and a search warrant. But I have just ultimate respect for the man.
Shout out to Mark. Dan, this might be a dumb question, but I just have to ask, do you ever, get a lead or somebody reaching out to you seeking representation and refer them to someone that you feel like is better suited? Is that a common practice for you?
Every day. And one of the things that people don't appreciate, and I'm flattered anytime anybody reaches out to me for any reason, but Aaron, I could spend my entire day doing nothing but finding lawyers for other people, right? And I'll give somebody a name or two, but I don't have time. Well, I didn't like him, or he said this, and I didn't like that. My time is my money. I had some guy that I didn't know, but had my cell number, saying the other day, "Hey, I need a couple of hours of your time to explain a matter to you. When do you have time?" Well, I charge $1,200 an hour. That's like somebody coming to say, "Hey, man, somebody I don't know that happens in my, hey, can I have $2,400? It's like, I don't know you, right? And I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from calling me, because if I can help you out quickly, I will. But my point is, every single day I'll get 8, 10, 12 calls saying, I got to breach a contract, or I got an employment case, or I got to this, or I got to that. And I could do nothing but return those calls and not be able to pay my mortgage at the end of the day.
That's interesting, because obviously when, we started this endeavor, and have grown our following pretty vastly and pretty quickly, a lot of people message us, right, and are seeking to get some of your time. And we don't want to be in a position where we're qualifying leads. But what I've noticed is that issue that they're having is kind of the center of their world, right? So it's like the biggest deal to them. How do you manage people's expectations when they're coming to you? Because obviously it might seem small to you, or you have hundreds of cases that you have to work with, and to other people, it's like, what are you doing? But to them, it's like the center of their universe and the single problem that they're thinking of when they wake up and then thinking of when they go to sleep. How do you help kind of manage that when they're coming to you from all angles?
Well, it's common. I mean, I had a conversation with a client yesterday who was in tears saying, I want to be your most important client. This case doesn't sound like it's important to you. I want it to be more important to you. Every single one of my cases are of equal importance because, I don't do DWIs anymore, but even when I was trying DWIs back in the day, I never lost a DWI where my client turned and said, it's no big deal. It's just a DWI. It's like an appendectomy or whatever. It's no big deal. It's just appendicitis. No, it's everything's a big deal to the person who's on the wet end of the spear. What I try to explain to my clients that I can only focus on one thing at a time, and the more you text me and email me and call the office for an update or a status request or whatever, that there's less time I have to spend working on your case or the other client's case. If there's something important going on in your case, I will let you know. But I don't have time to give you what's going on in my case, No lawyer has the time to do that because a lot of times nothing is going on in that case. We're waiting on discovery. We're waiting to review the discovery. We're waiting on a court setting. We're waiting on but nothing. It's not like something happens on every single case every single day, and it's hard, as you've referenced, Aaron, for some people to wrap their arms around that because it is their center of their universe.
What is the best advice that you can give someone in terms of proper etiquette to help the attorney help their case? Like, how can they manage the relationship on the consumer side to help you do your job better?
Every client, either right before or right after they hire me, these three things. Number one, shut the fuck up. Do not talk about your case with anybody unless it's somebody on my staff, period, no exceptions. Not your wife, not your brother, not your priest. Be quiet. Only people you should talk with about your case is us. Thing number two, stay the fuck off social media. Just stay the hell away from it. No matter if it's your post or somebody else's post, some lawyer on the other side is going to be parsing through that, looking for a dumb statement made by you or a dumb statement made about you. They'll take it out of context. You'll have to explain it. The less you say publicly on social media, the better off you're going to be. And thing number three is be patient. Each case can take anywhere from 6 months to 3 or 4 years. They're not going to be over with next week. They're not going to be over with next month. The average lifespan of a case in my office is probably 18 to 24 months. So you just got to sit back and be patient and let us do some of the worrying for you.